Christopher Sarro, president of Holt Construction. I'm proud to announce that the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, in partnership with American Airlines, URW Airports, has announced a $125 million commercial redevelopment of JFK's Terminal 8. As the project's construction partner, Holt Construction is pleased to partner with URW to introduce our new information and technical assistance program designed to connect you to opportunities available across the 24-month redevelopment of Terminal 8, all part of the Port Authority's $19 billion airport redevelopment program that is transforming New York's airport system. Working with our partners at the Port Authority, American Airlines, URW, and Phoenix Infrastructure, we have designed a special series of programs that will help you learn more about the project, the business and contracting opportunities that are right for your company, and how your business can participate. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to partnering together.
Your financial health is one of the key criteria construction managers and general contractors use to assess whether your firm has the financial strength to perform on a project. As we all know, the language of accounting and financing is often confusing to anyone but an accountant or a chief financial officer. Sometimes even a bookkeeper will refer back to the company's accountant or CFO to better understand what story the numbers are trying to tell. Today's session will take us through a conversation that will help explain what story your financial statements tell about your company. You should gain insights into what specific financial reports mean and how they tell a story about your company. Reports include standard financial reports, supporting financial documents such as cash flow analysis and WIPs, and the types of financial statements and alternate documents. Our conversation will conclude on sharing best practices for being better prepared to grow and scale your business in the construction industry. Today, we have two outstanding professionals with us to help us understand what your numbers tell us and what they tell you about your company. So let's introduce our panelists. Matt.
Hello, I'm Matthew Anselmi. I'm Chief Financial Officer for Holt Construction.
Great. And Anthony.
My name is Anthony Campolo. I'm a partner with the firm Cohn Resnick, and I help construction companies increase their productivity and profitability.
Wonderful. Okay, so first question. As part of Holt's pre-qualification process, we require every contractor to provide financial statements to us so we can evaluate a prospective subcontractor's financial ability to perform specific work. Matt, can you tell us what some of the financial documents are that we require?
Sure. In order of importance for me to perform a pre-qual evaluation, it would be the balance sheet, the income statement, and then the WIP schedule and the cash flow statement.
Great. And Anthony, can you tell us a little bit more about what story a financial statement tells a hiring CM or GC about a subcontractor's business and its financial health? And what are some of the red flags that the hiring CM or GC might see when reviewing these financial statements?
Sure. So I kind of view the company's financial statements as the company's report card. It basically tells the company how well they're doing or not so well they're doing. And so when we look at a financial statement, as Matt indicated, there are four financials that are included in that. It's the balance sheet, the income statement, statement of cash flows, and the statement of retained earnings. And so there's primary statements and secondary statements. The two primary statements, balance sheet and income statement, and then you have your supplemental schedules, as Matt indicated, which is the WIP schedule. So when we look at those, some of the red flags that we will look at with respect to the income statement, when I look at that, I want to see, what the profitability is for that period of time. Do they have income from operations? What their current overhead is? Does their top line revenue support that type of overhead structure? And then ultimately how profitable they are in the way of net income. When I look at the balance sheet, what I'm concerned there, when I refer to the balance sheet as the three O's, it's what you own, what you owe, and what's left over. Assets minus liabilities equals equity, the net worth of the company. So for a balance sheet, I'm concerned with how capitalized, how the capital structure. Is it very thinly capitalized, or do they have enough room in there to take on the work that they're looking to bid? Some of the other components we'll look at is the working capital, current assets minus current liabilities. And then you look at these statements in conjunction with each other. So for example, the work in progress schedule will calculate an over/under billings. That will tie into the balances that are listed on the balance sheet. And so a red flag would be in the balance sheet if there are significant underbillings, the term costs in excess. That would be a red flag that we would look at as a potential concern.
Wonderful. That's great. So sticking with you, Anthony, another question is, there are lots of documents that support the preparation of a financial statement. Can you briefly explain the relationship of some of these reports so that subcontractors can better understand the implications of the numbers, especially when a prospective CM or GC like Holt reviews them? So specifically the cash flow statement and the work in progress schedule.
Absolutely. Yes. So that's a great question. So we talked about the basic financials, balance sheet, income statement, statement of cash flows and statement of retained earnings. And then you have those supplemental schedules, which is the WIP schedule. And so how do you look at them in conjunction with each other? I look at the income statement as the engine of the company. That's the performance, how profitable a company is for a specific period of time. And so the results of that income statement, okay, will then support or fold into the balance sheet to support the capital structure. And that's would show the financial health of the company. So when you're looking at these statements, you need to look at them in relationship to each other. You look at the income statement and then the WIP schedule, which then breaks down the revenue and direct costs and gross margin by project by project. It'll then show you an over/under billings on how well that job is performing. You'll look at the gross margins to see, how profitable, and the trend analysis with respect to each of those projects. So you really want to look at these financials in conjunction with each other. And certainly the WIP schedule and the cash flow statement are two supporting schedules that tie right into those basic financials.
Great, thank you. Matt, next one's for you. So in many pre-qualifications, including Holt's, we ask for audited or reviewed financial. Often many of our smaller contractors don't have those types of reports. So first, can you explain what these types of financial reports are?
Sure. An audited financial is where you have an independent auditor providing a reasonable amount of assurance with regard to a company's financial position. A reviewed financial provides a limited amount of assurance because the review is not as extensive as an audit.
Great. And Anthony, could you explain some other financial documents that may be accepted if audited or reviewed statements are not available?
Sure. So as Matt indicated, as a CPA, the three levels of service that we would provide would be an audited statement. And then just below that would be a review financial. And then there's something called a compilation. So those are basically the three services that a CPA would provide. Short of that, then you'd be relying on internally generated financial statements from a company. And most importantly, if you are just looking at the internally generated financials, you're going to want to make sure that they've been prepared on a percentage of completion basis for revenue recognition, that they have the appropriate supporting schedules that tie into the balance sheet, the WIP schedules that reconcile to the income statement, and that the over/under billings ties into the balance sheet. So short of a CPA financial, you'd rely on an internally generated financial.
Wonderful. Okay, so now we want to talk about how subcontractors can be better prepared when they're submitting these documents. So Matt, should they submit their documents if they're not ready with all the correct information or the documents at the ready?
I think they should submit as much information as possible, but they should gear it toward having a pretty firm understanding that the information is correct. A draft is better than nothing, but they don't want to be in a situation where credibility is called into question if they have incomplete information or something comes back subsequent to their submission that is drastically different.
And Matt, how should these subcontractors be working with their accounting team? So their bookkeeper, their CPA, their tax advisor, and insurance specialist to be better prepared when submitting their documentation?
When submitting their documentation, they should make sure that they have open lines of communication, and they should be working as a team toward a common goal. From that perspective, I think they're going to be able to catch some things that they might not otherwise have caught, and they will be able to present their information in the best way possible.
Great. And Anthony, why is a construction accountant a different type of accountant than a general business accountant? What makes a construction accountant and what makes construction such a different market sector that demands you need a CPA specialist and not a generalist?
So construction accounting is very unique and specific to the construction industry, particularly the way revenue is recognized is on a percentage of completion basis. And so the percentage of completion basis is determined on a job by job basis. So in essence, if you think about an income statement, when you think about your WIP schedule or your contracts schedule, that's basically mini P&Ls broken down on job by job basis. So it becomes very critical that you're dealing with a CPA who specializes in construction, who understands percentage completion, job costing, and how the percent complete works and how the systems internally should be set up so that you're tracking and recording that information properly in order to be able to generate the necessary reports that third parties would want to see in that format. And that's just the financial side. When you get into the tax side, the tax code is so specific to a contractor, the company would be doing themselves a disservice if they didn't have a service provider that specialized in construction.
Great. Financial documents are important to Holt, but they're also important to other professionals such as your banker, your insurance broker, bonding agent, potential investors. What are some best practices that subcontractors and smaller general contractors should be implementing as they prepare their business for more work and to scale it for success? Matt, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, they should really focus on the cash management and making sure that their billings are current. They don't want to fall into a situation where they have underbillings, excessive underbillings, and especially they don't want underbillings that are exceeding their overbillings. Cash is king, and their working capital is something that other entities are going to focus on to see if they have the ability to sustain work on hand and future work.
Great. Anthony, anything to add to that?
Sure, I would just add, that it's important for the company to understand that the language of business is accounting and that everyone within the organization needs to speak that language. It doesn't just mean the accountants in the company. That means the people estimating the job through contract award. That means when the job is being executed, the operations and the field personnel, and then how that information makes its way back into the accounting department, and then how they interact with each other from a collaborative team approach, where they're using that financial information to discuss, analyze, meet, read the numbers, because every financial statement tells a story. It's in the numbers where you're going to identify where the problems are. And so that's going to help a company focus in to improve and get better. And what better way to do that if everyone within the organization understands that language, speaking the same language, and then working towards a common goal. So I can't stress that enough. The accounting isn't just for the accountants. The accounting is for the entire company, and it'll help any company achieve their goals and become successful.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt and Anthony. This has been a wonderful conversation. And now we're going to go over to live Q&As to get some of your questions. Welcome everyone to the live Q&A. Thank you for joining. The first question I got here, I'm going to throw to you, Anthony. Does this apply for design and architectural firms as well?
Yeah, so what you're going to do, and everything that we kind of discussed through the session, talking about the financials and the accounting, you're going to apply the same concepts, making sure that you have a properly structured accounting system, how those transactions funnel into that accounting system so that you have the ability to produce the appropriate reporting, so that then you're able, as a management team, to analyze those reports collaboratively, to understand where those issues are in the company so that you're able to then make the necessary adjustments for improvement.
Great. And Lauren, are we just looking for 1 year of information or multiple years of financial information?
I mean, I believe we're looking for multiple, but if there's a company that only has 1 year of financial information, we'll take what you have and go from there. But obviously, the more information that shows a trend over the years, the better.
Yeah, and I think most companies, in addition to us, would probably require multiple years of information.
Yes.
Anthony, what are some indirect costs or overhead expenses that companies should keep in mind?
So when you're dealing with your job costing, okay, you're going to want to make an attempt, and I always kind of focus in on how the accounting system is structured, okay, and so you're going to make a determination as to what are direct costs versus your indirect costs, and identifying how those indirect costs ultimately would need to be allocated to the appropriate jobs becomes a significant component that would need to be understood and applied and allocated accordingly. You're going to have your overall overhead of the company, what it's going to cost to keep the lights on and pay the rent and the office salaries, and that would just be the normal overhead structure.
Great. And Lauren, what are the payment terms and schedule? I assume they're talking about this project, but what are typically our payment terms on our construction projects?
So it honestly depends on our agreement with our owner. We have some that have 30 days. We have some that have 45. We obviously do our best on the accounting side to get our owner's requisitions in promptly so that we can turn around and pay our subcontractors timely.
Yeah, and a lot of times in construction companies, we don't pay until we get paid out, correct? Okay.
Correct.
Great. And Lauren, I think you kind of answered this, but if you could just reiterate, if my company is newer and I don't have multiple years of financial statements, what should I do?
Yeah, I mean, give us what you have. We'll take a look at it, and we can always go back and ask you for additional information that you would have to support and back up.
Great. This next one I'll take. Is it possible to arrange a call with my accountant to explain what is needed exactly? So yes, if you are pre-qualing with Holt and you guys have questions that you don't feel like you're able to answer, you want your accountant to talk to us, you can let us know. We could set up a call for you. And I would venture to guess that a lot of other construction companies would do that with their pre-qual and accounting staff as well. Anthony. Oh no, actually, I think this one will be for Lauren. If my financial statements are in imperfect shape, is it still possible to be qualified for smaller contracts to prove our abilities?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we make exceptions. We look through, we can start you off on a smaller job. We're not going to give you the biggest award out the gate just to make sure, but we absolutely work with smaller companies to give smaller contracts that they can prove themselves.
Okay, and this next one is for you too, Lauren, based on the pre-qual. If there's a certain job or extenuating circumstances that's contributing to poor financial documents, do they have the opportunity to explain that to us when they pre-qual?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, good things happen, but bad things happen to good people all the time, right? So we're definitely here to look at the information and have conversations with subcontractors.
Great. Okay, next one. As a plumbing supplier that does work with many plumbing service organizations, should we get pre-qualified with you too? So I will take that one. No, we would not. You would want to go directly to the plumbing subcontractors that we are working with. As we get more in depth in the project and as all of the concessions are being built out with other contractors, we're going to release lists of the main subcontractors. We're going to have meetings where you can meet them. So you'll want to reach out directly to them and they'll be able to pre-qualify you directly with them. The best thing to do to make sure you're staying in contact is go to the new JFK fill out the intake form on there. You'll be able to check off what your services are. So if it's something that applies to Holt, they'll send you over to us, but they'll also keep your information on file for the other concessions and the other GCs that will be working on them. In addition, if there's something you could do direct with the client or anything like that, we'll be able to do that. Lauren, do you mind telling us what your title is? Because we did not announce that in the beginning.
Sure. I am the operational controller for Holt Construction. So I work with operations and manage the project accounting team.
Great. Another question we got, can you email us this recording? So we are going to post the recordings. They will be posted on the new JFK.com and they will go out with email blasts. So keep a lookout. Definitely keep that website bookmarked. So all recordings from all sessions are going to be on there for you. And then, do we have any recommendations on a construction accountant that is good and affordable? Anthony, you have any suggestions?
Yeah, that's always a good question. you know, ultimately you're going to want to find a service provider who specializes in construction. That's really the key. You know, I guess if you want to email Jessica, we can kind of follow up and on that point. But I can't stress that enough. Construction accounting is so specific, and setting up your systems internally, you know, is the starting of the process. You know, and how you take the daily transactions and reflect them into the accounting system. That's the starting point. And so you really have to start there in order to get the end result of good financial reporting, that you're producing, you know, the necessary financial reports to analyze how the company's doing. You know, so that would, I would start there.
Great. And another one for you, Anthony. Will a fair audit suffice?
Fair audit. Let's get a little more elaborate on fair audit. What is
FAR.
Oh,
FAR, FAR.
yeah, sorry, misread that.
Yeah. So FAR is a more specialized, have more requirements. So you basically have say a GAAP audit, the U.S. GAAP audit, which would be, you know, generally accepted accounting principles on the financial statements. And then when you get into the FAR regulations, there's a whole list of additional requirements that you have to go through.
Okay, and as a supplier, how do you guarantee our payment, particularly timeliness of payments from the primes? Lauren, can you grab that one?
So, I mean, we collect sub-tier waivers from the sub-tier contractors to make sure that you are getting paid. And we always have open lines of communication if you're not getting paid to reach out to us, and you know, we can always issue a joint check or whatever it may be. But the goal is to make sure that everybody who's working on the job is receiving their payment from us.
Great. The next one is, how do we contact to set up a one-on-one with our accounting department to ask questions? So for that one, I would say you want to email info@rfwconsultants.com. Let them know what you're looking for, and they'll get your information over to the proper parties for us. And I think that is all the questions we have. So thank you everyone who joined. I know it's leading up to a holiday weekend, so we appreciate it. Thank you, Lauren and Anthony. And I just want to reiterate to go to the new JFKT8.com, fill out their form on there, and you will be connected with whoever you need. So Holt Construction is doing a part of the project, but there's going to be a lot of other GCs doing the concessions down the line. So we want to make sure you get involved in any opportunities you can. So thank you, and everyone enjoy the holiday weekend, and join us next week for our session on how to work in aviation, just some educational series. So thank you very much.